Hello and welcome to the next healthy eating demonstration. Today we're going to be cooking a nice healthy dinner. This can be done as a light dinner, it can be done as a lunchtime meal. We're going to be doing tandoori chicken, healthy tandoori chicken with fresh naan breads. Right, so we have all our ingredients measured out all ready to go. So what we have 8 skinless chicken thighs. If you buy them with the skin on, just pull the skin off. The skin makes it more fatty and less healthy, so take the fat off, and that's a slightly healthier option, okay? Then we've got juice of 1 lemon. Then we have 2 teaspoons of paprika. We have 1 onion. You can use red onion preferable, but if you can't get red onion, white onion is absolutely fine. So we have our chicken. We'll have some rapeseed oil for cooking. Then for the marinade, we have 150 millilitres of Greek yogurt, a nice large piece of ginger, 2 cloves of garlic. Then we have 3/4 of a teaspoon of garam masala. We have 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cumin. We have half a teaspoon of hot chili powder and 1/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric. Okay. So we'll get into the preparation, and then we'll start doing the marinade, so we'll cut back to that. So the first thing we're going to do is finely dice our onion, okay? Thing to remember with an onion, whenever you're finely dicing it, never cut the root, because if you cut the root, the onion will fall apart and it'll get really messy. So always cut the other end of the opposite end to the root, okay? So just chop that off, then cut through the middle. And you'll find, doing it like this, you'll find it easy to take that paper off the outside of the onion as well, okay? If you try and peel it before you cut it, you'll be there forever. So it's all about making life easy for yourself. There we go. So there we are, so we'll peel that paper off there. I'll demonstrate 1/2 of the onion. Just keep it away. So the thing to remember, we're doing a little cross section, so keep those fingers tucked in when you're cutting to keep them away, because if you have your fingers out while you're chopping, you're more likely to chop into your fingers, okay? So nice and safe. Cut about 3/4 of the way through the onion, about 2-3 millimetres apart. You can see I haven't cut all the way through the onion, I've just gone about 3/4 of the way through, just to not disturb that root, okay? Then turn it round and then cut through again, about 3/4. So now you've got that lovely cross section I mentioned before. And then what you can do, get the things tucked in, take slices from the onion, and there you're left with lovely fine dice, okay? Try and get the onion as fine as you can, because this is going to be used for the marinade, okay? There we go, and then what we'll do, we'll pop that onion into a bowl, along with paprika and the lemon juice, okay? There we go, and we'll just stir that through. Stir it through just to coat that. Then what we'll do, once we've got the other half of the onion in there, we'll then get the chicken in here as well, okay? And that'll be our marinade. So we'll leave that in the lemon juice, onion and paprika mix for about 10 minutes while we get on with preparing the other items, okay? Right, so now we've got our chicken thighs in our marinade. We'll just gently stir that through just to coat them, and that lemon juice will just give the chicken a slightly citrus flavour, and the paprika will give it a nice colour, and obviously you have that lovely onion flavour on there as well. So we'll just gently stir this through. And once it's stirred through, as I say, we'll leave that for about 10 minutes just to infuse, just let those flavours get to know each other a bit. There we go. So we can put that to one side, okay? Now what we can do, we can get on with the preparation of everything else, okay? The only other things we need to prep on this are the ginger and the garlic, okay? We'll do the ginger first, a little tip, teaspoon, and then all you do, rather than trying to chop all that skin off, use a teaspoon and just gently rub it against the ginger, and you'll see that is just taking off just the skin, okay? It's not taking any of the flesh, so we're getting maximum yield from our ginger, so we don't have to waste anything, which is very important. So we'll just quickly peel this, and then what we're going to do, once we've peeled the ginger, we're going to grate it, okay? Just so make sure it's nice and fine to go through our tandoori chicken, okay? So just quickly. I mean, this is doing it from scratch. You can cheat and you can buy a tandoori paste mix, but the problem with that is it's full of salt, sugars, and other preservatives. So you want to keep it as natural as possible and as healthy as possible. There we go. So that's the ginger peeled. That's a lovely large piece of ginger. What we'll do now, on a grater, any grater at home, domestic grater, you'll find it's got this kind of slightly larger zest setting. So that's what we're looking for, okay? So what we'll do is just peel this. And as you're peeling, a little tip, just turn it about 90 degrees every so often. Because you'll find it's easier to grate on one side than the other, and it goes a bit uneven. So just turn it around, ensure you get an even grate, and you'll be safer for your fingers then as well. And only grate as far as you feel comfortable, okay? Because graters are quite nasty things. They can cut you quite badly. So safety first. I'll probably do some ginger. There we go. So we've got a lovely grated, approximate, just over thumb size piece of ginger. So we'll pop that into here. Not to waste any. That side. So just give our board a quick wipe. Now the ginger. So with a chef's knife, all I do, literally just side of your knife, give it a bang, just to bruise it, okay? And you'll find the paper, the outside paper, will just more or less fall off then, okay? Then take the tip of the garlic off, because that's going to be really hard and not very tasty at all. If you find that your garlic's quite old, and you find there's a green root going through it, it's more or less past its best. However, you can salvage it by cutting it down the middle, opening it up, and then you can actually just pull that green root out. Oh, there's a little bit on there actually. It's a good example. And you can pull that out, because if you cook with that, you'll find that the green stalk can be a bit bitter. So it's always important to make sure you've got the best quality produce that you can. Okay. So then we'll just dice this up. And if you don't feel comfortable hitting your clove of garlic with the back of a big knife, not a problem. Just use your hand, your body weight. Just lean, and there you go, you get the same result. You bruise the garlic to start releasing that flavour, and then you can start chopping it up, okay? So we'll just finely dice this. So just take your time with it, there's no points for speed. So find the faster you go, unless you've got really good knife skills, you will cut yourself. So please bear that in mind, safety at all times. So what we'll do now, we'll put the garlic in with the ginger, then we'll cut back in a second, and then we'll start the cooking process. Right, so now we've got everything prepared. We have our chicken in the marinade. It's been there for about 10 minutes now. What we're going to do is add all our other ingredients into that mixture, okay? We're going to mix it through, cover it, keep it in the fridge for around about an hour or so, just so you can get all those flavours to get to know each other and infuse, okay? So we've got our garlic and ginger. We've also got our cumin, garam masala, paprika and turmeric as well, okay? So get all those in there. Not to forget our Greek yogurt, that goes in as well. And then we just mix all that those lovely flavours through, okay? Make sure we're coating that chicken all over, so give it a good stir. The smells are beautiful, so you'll really enjoy this. So, and then what we'll do, once we get this in the fridge, this is when you can start making your naan breads then, okay? They're really simple. There's lots of different recipes for naan breads. Some use yeast, some don't. We're going to be doing a nice simple one that doesn't use any yeast, okay? just to keep it as simple as possible. But if you find a different recipe, then by all means use that. But we'll be using one with baking powder today, okay? So there we go. So that's lovely and that's all coated. So what I'll do now, I'll cling film this and pop this in the fridge for, say, for about an hour while I make the naan bread mix, and then we can start the cooking process. So we'll cut back and we'll start preparing the naan breads. Okay, thank you. Right, so now we have our sieve. I'm just going to put all of the dry ingredients in together. Our baking powder. What we'll do, we'll pour them through our sieve, okay? So just to make sure you get no lumps in your naan bread dough, okay? So when you come into sieve, just knock it on the side of your hand, very gently, so you don't get the flour everywhere. You can see there's a few little lumps in there. Just press them through if you can. And then we'll sieve the rest. Transfer this to a bowl. Sieve that through. You can use your hand to mix in with the milk. However, for less mess, I tend to use a spoon or a fork, okay? So that's all sifted through. It's lovely. So then what we'll do with our hand or with a spoon, I'll use a spoon, create a well in the middle, as I say. Okay, so we've got our well. Then we'll add a splash of the milk. Say splash, add about half the milk. And then with your spoon in the middle, just gently stir it through, bringing in the flour into the middle as you go. Okay, so that's stirring through lovely. So when it gets to a dough stage, it will actually be when it starts pulling away from the sides, okay? So you don't want it too wet, too dry. This is very dry. Obviously I haven't added all the milk, so I'll add a splash more. And then what we'll do, once we've formed our dough, we'll turn it out onto our workbench and then we'll start kneading it, okay? So it's very similar to when you're making bread. So what you're doing is you're actually stretching and pulling at the dough. So I'll add a bit more milk. So I'll add the rest. So that was 130 millilitres I had there. So again, you can always add a bit more if you need to. This should make approximately 4 to 5 naan breads, depending on the size that you're going for, okay? So what we'll do, we'll pull this off here. We'll start trying to knead this together in the bowl, bring it together. Yeah, there we go, that's coming together nicely. There we go, so we'll bring this onto the workbench. And then you can start kneading it, okay? So kneading it, you fold it and pull it until it comes into a nice little dough. So it's lovely. You don't want it too dry, as I say, because you'll never roll it out. So with our hands, knead it. There we go, that's lovely now. So with your hand, you stretch and pull back, stretch and pull back, stretch and pull back. And you'll find the more you knead it, the smoother and easier it becomes to work with. This feels nice now, it's coming together quite well. It's forming a smooth paste. What you can also do as well at this stage, you can add black onion seeds or nigella seeds. They're the little black bits you generally see in naan breads, and it just gives a nice little subtle oniony flavour to the naan bread. I'm going to do this at the end once we're rolling out. I'll put my nigella seeds in it at that point. So there we go. So you can see it's formed a bit more of a dough. That's lovely. So what we'll do, we'll just keep on kneading. You want to knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes to ensure that you've got a nice smooth dough. And what that actually does as well, that helps develop the structure of the dough. So you're kind of pulling. You're stretching the gluten in the flour, and what you're doing, as you're stretching it, it's creating a bond like that, so it's harder to break when you come to roll it out. Okay, so the more you knead it, the stronger the fibres and the bond will be. So I'll keep on kneading this, and then we'll leave this for about 15-20 minutes in a warm place, not hot, just nice ambient, 18 to 20 degrees room, or in a bowl on top of your boiler or in your airing cupboard. Airing cupboard's perfect. and then we'll cut back, and then we'll start looking to cook the chicken and start rolling and cooking the naan breads. So cut back in a minute. Sure. Right, okay, so we've got our chicken marinated lovely, just here. And we're just getting our pan on to a nice heat with some rapeseed oil. You can grill these. The healthier option would be to grill them. If you've got access to a char grill or even just under the grill, you can cook them there. But what I'm going to do today is seal them in the pan, get them onto a baking tray and finish them off in the oven, okay? While they're in the oven, we'll start rolling out the naan breads, and then we'll get them cooking. They don't take very long at all, and then I'll cut back to plating it up. So just heating our oil up now. We don't need it too hot, otherwise you're running the risk of burning the oil, and obviously when you put the chicken in, it'll start spitting because of the liquid with the yoghurt, okay? It is quite messy getting it in the pan, so you can either use tongs to put it in or use your hands, and just make sure you wash your hands before you start turning the chicken, okay? So there we go. So that's more or less there. Check if the pan's hot enough. I'm just going to put a bit of onion in there. If it starts sizzling, then it's ready, but this isn't quite there yet, okay? I'll turn the heat up again slightly. Yeah, started to, there we are, that's lovely. So, I'm just going to put this chicken in. So you can do this in batches, okay? I've got 6 in here, I've got another 2 in here, so what I'll do is I'll cook the 6, seal them off, get them on the baking tray, then I'll do the other 2 in the pan as well. So what we're doing is, I say, we're just sealing the chicken in the pan, and what that does 2 things. It locks in the flavour, and it also keeps the moisture in, stops the chicken thighs from drying out. So we'll just turn it up slightly. And then what you'll find is you're left with a nice bit of sauce that can be drizzled over the chicken before it goes in the oven. Gently sealing it. You can see it's got a nice golden colour to it. In a couple of minutes, and that'll be ready to go in the oven, or onto the tray for the oven. When it comes to serving it up, you can finish it with some fresh coriander. You can also turn your naan breads into garlic and coriander naan breads by just rubbing a bit of garlic butter and sprinkle some fresh coriander over the top. It's completely up to you. You can also rub the naan breads with a bit of melted butter at the end, just to give it a nice shine, a bit of richness, but obviously this is a healthy dish, so I'm not going to do that today, but that is another option for you as well, okay? So there we are, so chicken goes on the tray. We'll get the other 2 pieces in. What I'll do as well, I'm just going to get all that lovely flavour into the pan as well. Don't waste anything. So once it's in the oven, we'll cut over to the other bench and I'll show you how to roll out the naan breads, okay? Smells absolutely delicious over here. sure you get all that lovely flavour out of the pan. So there we go. All the chicken is on the pan, ready to go in the oven. So in the oven at 200 degrees for approximately 20 minutes until the core temperature is 75 degrees or above. So we'll cut back to the naan breads now, and then we'll go over to cook them. So back again. Right, so we have our naan bread. It's been resting for about 10-15 minutes now. So we're at the stage now. Well, what we'll do, we'll roll this back out and divide it into 5 pieces. Just give it one minute, that's underneath. That's lovely, nice and smooth. There we go, it's lovely. So, I'd say right, okay, so 8 pieces. 5. You can weigh this if you want to get perfectly sized naan breads. You can weigh the whole amount of dough, divide that by 5, and then weigh out 5 pieces. Okay, but at home it's quite rustic. Just do a rough guesstimate if you like. So there we go. So we've got our dough. Flatten with your hand, and you can do this any shape you like. You can try and get nice naan bread size. These are like little mini naan breads, so nothing too big, okay? So roll it out nice and thin. Because what will happen during cooking, this will puff up slightly as well, okay? So that's one rolled out nice and thin. Couple of, about 3-4 millimeters thick. That's absolutely fine. So what we'll do, we'll roll this one out again. Okay, so let's roll that. It's important you do this in a dry pan, okay? So what I'm going to do is put my pan on the heat now, very, very low. I want it to be a nice hot pan, okay? Very rustic, as I say, it can be any shape you want. So I'll roll 3 out and I'll demonstrate how to cook them now then, okay? So we'll just turn the camera around and then we'll cook the naan breads and then we can plate up. Right, so we've got our pan on, get it nice and hot. It's not quite there, I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. So it's not an issue, it's nice and hot. So you can add Tandoori seeds or the black onion seeds to roll it out. And put this on top. I've got some black onion seeds on there now, you can see, just a few. Yeah, it's nice and hot now. There we go. Black onion seeds on here. There we go. So I'll turn that heat down slightly. Should be able to get maybe 2 in there actually. We'll do one with and one without. Okay, so we'll get 2 in there. 2 is nice for a portion, but if you do slightly bigger, you can just do 1. So they're cooking nicely. Zoom in on that. And then what you're looking to do is get some nice score marks, some nice black marks on there. Oh, there we are. It's looking nice and golden there. So another couple of minutes on that, and then we can turn them over. If you do notice your pan starts to smoke, just turn the heat down slightly. That means that it's at a nice temperature. There we go. You can see got a nice colour on the naan bread there. And then it'll literally be a case of once the naan bread's done, take your chicken out of the oven, plate up, absolutely delicious. There we go. So you've got a nice colour on your naan breads there. You do the same if you're making any sort of like African flatbreads, that kind of thing. You can same principle, dry pan, nice and easy to cook. Just turn that up slightly. Just give that another minute, sir. Yeah, they're done. So turn the heat off. There we go. Naan breads are cooked beautifully. Then we'll cut back to plating up. Right, so our chicken's now cooked and our naan breads are now finished as well. So what we'll do, I'll just pull my chicken out of the oven. As you can see, it's cooked beautifully. It's got a lovely colour onto it. So for one portion, just do two nice pieces of chicken. You can use a pair of tongs, or you can use slotted spoon, whichever's you feel more comfortable with. There we go. So we've got our nice 2 pieces of tandoori chicken. And we've got 2 lovely naan breads. So one with and one without nigella seeds. Yeah, and you can finish that off with some fresh coriander over the top of there. You can get some melted butter and just brush that across your naan breads, give it a nice shine. However, that's not the healthier option, so we're sticking to the healthy options. And that's it, that's your tandoori chicken and your fresh naan breads. Couldn't be simpler. Enjoy.